Nenyi George Anda is a member of parliament for the Utu Senya West constituency. He's also a deputy minister for communications. He's here with us this Monday morning. Good morning to you, Nenyi.
Good morning, Roland. Good morning to your viewers. And good morning to all those watching us from, especially Utu Senya West. If I may, let me wish a very good friend of mine, Dr. Amy Ekufu. Dr. Amy Ewuku, who is celebrating her birthday today. She's gone through a rough time. She lost her husband about a year ago. She lost a child, but she's bounced back, and I think that we need to celebrate Amy. So, Amy, for all of us in Achimota 87, we wish you a happy birthday, and we thank you for bouncing back.
Well, we thank God also for her life as well. And also we have Al-Hassan Suhini, total cheats. Member of Parliament for Tamale North. Thanks for joining me, Total Cheats.
It's always a pleasure to be with you, Roland. Good morning, and good morning to our viewers. And let me say a happy new year to both of you. I'm seeing you for the first time.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Sure.
Are you the producer of Total Cheats?
I dedicate it always to the NPP each time I listen to it. So I love the song. And I'm not surprised Roland is also falling in love with it gradually.
Oh, I've always loved Fancy Gadam. Yeah. Because he had his first hit called Concrete. So
Concrete.
Yeah, so
do you understand the lyrics of Concrete very well?
No, I got somebody to explain to me. I don't think it's stuck though, but yeah, I got at the time.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I mean, there are two of them who are doing
Yes,
great.
There's one now called
Macasio. He's one that we expect to also take the artist of the new artist of the year. Fantastic, musician too.
Yeah, is he also able to fill stadiums?
In fact, the competition was between the two of them until Fancy Gadam won the new artist of the year and kind of became like the official king.
All right.
The competition has always been between the two
Macasio
of them. And they both
Gadam
are doing great, filling stadiums.
Yes. All right. Over the weekend, I know there are a lot of things ongoing, but Abronye, I don't know whether the two of you know Abronye is, we're told, the youth organizer, regional youth organizer for Ahafo region. Apparently was on Saturday evening attacked and beaten by some unknown assailants in Atebubwa mountain districts of the Ahafo region. I don't know whether you heard the news. So I'll start with you, Nenyi.
I did. I heard the news, and I think the first thing is to we thank God for his life, and we thank the medical team at the 37 Military Hospital who are taking care of him, those who managed to assist in his evacuation. And I believe that he's responding to treatment. I don't have the facts of the matter, and I believe that the police are carrying out their investigation, and within the shortest possible time we'll be able to make informed commentary as to what was the cause of this assault on a Ghanaian. And so I think we'll wait, and then we'll hear from the police.
All right. According to a Ghanaian Times source, Sohini, Abronye DC was at Atebubu to speak with some MPP party executives in preparation towards the ruling party's district, constituency, and regional executive elections next year. It was during the latter part of the meeting that an unknown men emerged from nowhere, according to the Ghanaian Times, and they attacked him, and this nearly resulted to his death, we're told.
I think that Abronye has carved for himself an image that many people from both political parties see as a firebrand personality. I think that no matter what he says and how he says it, there is no justification whatsoever for him to be subjected to the kind of treatment that he was subjected to. I am not surprised that it happened to him though, because I saw it coming. I knew that it wasn't going to come from the NDC because we are not like that. But we are more tolerant of divergent views. We can disagree with you and do so strongly with very strong words, but we hardly get to the point where you are excluded, where the intention is to embarrass and humiliate you, where the intention is to harm you. The NDC is not noted for that, even though our opponents have, for a very long time, succeeded in branding the NDC as a violent political party simply because it came out of a revolution. But, you know, consistently, you can see what the NPP, you know, have been doing to each other and to their opponents and to the media. But somehow they are never qualified to be tagged as a violent political party. So I knew it wasn't going to come from the NDC, but I knew that at some point he was going to be served this meal that he was served because of how strong he is on some positions that some people do not find palatable. But I think that that is the beauty of democracy. You will not have to agree with what one says all the time, but you have to recognize the person's right to say it. In fact, everyone has the right to say silly things. In fact, even President Trump is doing that. But you just have to tolerate and accept, you know, and disagree when you have to, and do so strongly, like we do in the NDC. Sometimes our strong opposition and condemnation of what we find unacceptable is even deemed as insulting. Meanwhile, we know insulting language in our dictionary. But I think that it's unfortunate what has happened to him, and I hope that he will recover quickly and get back to work. I don't think this should deter him at all. I think it should spur him on to continue to say whatever he believes is right and wherever he thinks it is appropriate to say it. And people must learn to tolerate people like that. But this has been with the NPP since they were in opposition. So I'm not surprised that...
So, Henny, that's all right. It was just an initial comment. No reaction from you, Nengi. That's okay. Can we go to the Daily Graphic? Daily Graphic has on the front page, with all humility...
I think that's inappropriate for anyone to assume that whatever happened to the gentleman was perpetrated by the NPP. Okay, I think. Well, the story.
What does the story say?
He was attacked during a meeting of the party.
Okay.
Honorable.
I just wanted
the police would come and say what happened. Until then, I think that we should be responsible citizens. We should be responsible commentators, okay, and reserve. I mean, there's no point in even tagging the NPP as a violent party because of this. I mean, let's move away from that kind of talk.
All right. This is what Joy FM played. The incident happened during a meeting at the residence of the DCE for a table as part of his tour to organize support as he intends to contest as vice chairman of the NPP in the region. All right, so let's cut the chase and let's go on. Now, Daily Graphic has a story. We won't accept such insult, President tells Donald Trump. And we also know that it's been captured on Daily Guide, front page, and also on the front page of the Ghanaian Times. But we're here because, well, a president of the United States of America, known with the acronym POTUS on social media, is said to have, according to media report in the U.S., criticized migration to his country from El Salvador, Haiti, and Africa, and so called people from those countries and those countries as shithole countries. An allegation, of course, we've had the president come to flatly deny. He's been called racist, and the Democrats in the U.S. really, and the media have had some strong words for him. Let me start with you, Ning.
Well, I think even before we started, or you mentioned this topic, my good friend gave it to him there. I think it's most unfortunate is an understatement. I think it's irresponsible. It's irresponsible. I think it's too much power gone into some individual's head. It's too much money, and it's most unfortunate for the President of the United States to be making such comments. Indeed, I believe that the response from I've read 2 responses from African leaders, and I've read some other responses, and they've been apt. They've been very appropriate. That we will not tolerate any insult, and I don't know why the president of the United States will go on that tangent. It's also unfortunate when you have people that are of African descent defending what President Donald Trump has said, because at the end of the day, he's actually disrespecting those of us that are from Africa and referring to us as coming from shitholes. It's good that we are in a time of our history where His Excellency, the President, his position on aid and begging is clear, where he keeps on saying that we are moving to an economy that goes beyond aid. We want to develop our own resources. We want to add value to our own resources so that we can become extremely competitive in the world. And I mean, despite the provocation that is coming from such statements, I would say that let us keep our cool. Let us focus on where we are going. But yes, let's make that strong statement that we don't appreciate being referred to with such terms by anybody, not more so from the president of a country that we consider to be our friend.
Well, Sohini, there are many critics also out there, while in the same vein condemning the U.S. president. They also say that what he said was just undiplomatic, that's all. But there were words that were uttered, whether by the conservative whites in the U.S., elsewhere, even sometimes in the African continent, in our private conversations, in our private rooms. So why is it that he says he's a leader of a very big country in the world or on the world stage, and so it's a big deal?
It is such rationalization of very silly behavior and conduct that has brought us to where we are today. When President Trump began his campaign and was clearly racist and was clearly, antagonizing the vulnerable in society, the justification in the United States was that people say the things he says in his bedroom anyway, so what? I mean, in their bedrooms anyway, so what's the big deal? And so it is such unjustifiable rationalizations that have brought us to where we are. And I think that it is simply unreasonable to want to justify or rationalize whatever the President of the United States of America said. It is simply unreasonable. Look, what makes Africa, or Ghana for that matter, an S-hole? What makes it an S-hole? I don't, because maybe children maybe listen.
You mean shithole?
I don't want to,
okay.
What makes it an S-hole? Is it poverty? Is it poverty that makes it an S-hole? Don't we have poverty in the United States of America? Is it corruption that makes Africa an S-hole? Don't we have corruption in the United States of America? I mean, if it is about diseases, don't we have people suffering worse diseases in the United States of America? Yes, the levels may be different. So, as our age, nationhood, and all of that, when did the United States of America, for example, begin to practice democracy? When did we start as a country? When did we even become independent to be able to take our own decisions? At the age of Ghana, which is about 60, where was the United States of America when it was 60 years? It was ruled by dictators. It had nothing to write home about when it was 60 years. And so there is simply no justification. Yes, we may have our challenges as Africa, but which continent didn't have challenges, and grew out of those challenges? So nobody should attempt any justification. I think the United States of America has been debased to its lowest level ever by the election of President Trump to the office of president. I think that the United States of America must do something, and do that drastically, to save its image in the Committee of Nations. It simply has no respect anymore, and has no authority and no gravitas to lead the world. It has lost that moral right by the election of President Trump. And I think it has to be said, you know, without mincing words. And I think that is what is even making some of its workers in their embassies across the world uncomfortable. Because when you do this, you expose these innocent United States citizens who are working, you know, all over the world to support very good causes, to unnecessary attacks and antagonism. You open them to unnecessary attacks and antagonism. So I think that it is unacceptable. I like the way the president has responded to it, even though I would have expected it to come earlier than it did. But it's still very well, you know, put. We will not tolerate that, you know, permit my use of the word nonsense from whoever, no matter the kind of relationship we have with that leader. And I think it's well put. Former President Mahama also tweeted about this and condemned it in no uncertain terms, and even called on the African Union to make its voice very strong. I mean, Roland, maybe just quickly, I can see you want to wrap up. But just during the holidays, a Ghanaian immigrant died in the United States of America, saving the lives of people he has no idea where they come from. I think Emmanuel Mensah is the name, because he's a fire. Emmanuel Mensah, something, yes. He was
a soldier.
Saving
he was
people,
in the US.
yes, he was saving people who were caught up in, you know, an apartment that was on fire, and he died as a result of that. I mean, I'm sure the reason why he delved in to save the people had nothing to do with his country of origin or continent. We are human beings first and foremost, and we must give each other that respect and, you know, encourage that brotherliness and that need for us to coexist. That was an immigrant. In fact, ExxonMobil is in Ghana today, exploring for oil. ExxonMobil is a United States of America. I mean, it's a company from the US. Why are they in a S-hole looking for money to fund their operations elsewhere in the United States of America? And there are many other, you know, US companies that are here doing legitimate business and getting money that I am sure contributes to the, the economy of the United States of America. So it's just unacceptable, it's unpardonable. Yes, we have our challenges as an African continent, and we will get out of it. We are working on it, and you can see clearly that Africa is on the rise, and we are not going to tolerate, you know, any disrespect from any country, no matter how well endowed it is.
All right, and so the president, you know, on his Twitter handle and social media pages, right, the language of at real Donald Trump, that the African continent, Haiti and El Salvador are shithole countries. It's extremely unfortunate. We're certainly not a shithole country. We will not accept such insult, even from a leader of a friendly country, no matter how powerful. And then the former president of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, also had this to say on his Twitter handle, as well as on Facebook and other pages. It says Africans and Haitians come from shithole countries. Isn't Trump demonstrating that he is nothing but a racist and pursuing a policy of make America white again? I congratulate Botswana for showing the way. Our AU president must respond strongly to this insult. But let's move on. And we know that just on Thursday, the president announced Martin Amidou as the special prosecutor, and we've had a lot of commentary on the subject. Now we have Alassane Suheni here as well, but we're told that was an apt appointment, an announcement that took many people unaware. But we're told that the president really showed that he had a great commitment to fight corruption. Is that it?
I think clearly what happened by that announcement shows how politically strategic His Excellency the President is. You had a situation when just a week before the former president was out there on a Unity Talk campaign and totally misfiring, talking about certain people from the chambers of His Excellency the President being considered for appointment and giving reasons why those people should not even be considered for the appointment. Now, clearly, if within less than a week the president comes out and makes this or confirms this nomination subject to the approval of Parliament, then he was actually thinking in a totally different direction. I think that Martin Amidou, citizen vigilante, as some people choose to call him, is somebody that we can all say has been tried and tested in the field of fighting corruption. Now, for His Excellency the President, I believe that this takes his cause as far as his commitment to fight corruption really, really high, because everybody would have expected that a ruling party would be uncomfortable bringing in somebody who is known to be a crusader, is known to be a comrade, is not a former appointee of the minority. But I think the signal that His Excellency the President sends out, one, his commitment to fight corruption cannot be in dispute. Two, he's going to fight corruption without fear or favor, irrespective of who you are and where you sit as far as he is concerned. And three, if there's resource not within his party and he believes that that resource is the best thing for the wider interest of Ghana, he will go out there, even if it may make him unpopular. He will go out there and he will take that decision in the best interest of Ghana. And I think that he has clearly demonstrated these three things, and it's good news for Ghana, it's good news for the world. We expect that other African leaders would emulate what His Excellency the President has done. And indeed, I'm quite happy that so far, I think most of the commentary from the minority have been in support of Martin Amidou's nomination as the special prosecutor. What we need to do now is to make sure that we really resource that office and we really support that office to be able to carry out their work as per the bill that gives them what is now is an act because it's been signed. So as per the powers that he has, we need to give him the resources to be able to deliver, because there are quite a number of institutions in Ghana that you have good people out there, but they don't have enough resources to be able to operate. But so we should make sure that we properly resource him on time. I can't wait for his vetting. It's going to be quite interesting. And congratulations to Citizen Vigilante and His Excellency the President. Well done for another masterstroke.
And he's going to appear before the appointment committee, logically, right?
Yeah.
Is that how it is?
Just going to face him. You're on the appointment committee, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes, and but at the end of the day, he's somebody overwhelmingly, even though the whole refrain and the opinion of many people was that we needed somebody who was a non-partisan person to occupy a seat, but somebody who has been named and seemed to have everybody giving him a positive applause. Is that not it?
Well, Roland, I think that I agree with my honorable colleague that it was a masterstroke, except that I think it was a propaganda masterstroke. I think it was very timely to divert attention from what was the news of the day to disappointment.
What was the news of the day?
cash for seats.
Or you mean on Thursday when they're sitting?
Cash for seats. I mean, that was the first day that the probe, parliamentary probe, into the allegations that the president was used as a bait to raise money that, by, you know, all indication, lends itself.
Well, we'll be talking about it next, though.
Yeah, lends itself, you know, for, or can qualify as you know, corruption in direct or indirect ways. That was the first day that the committee sat, and if you followed the media from the time that the committee began its work till about 5:30 p.m. when the committee ended, the focus of the nation was on that, because many people who thought that there were just frivolous allegations made and just for politics' sake were beginning to change their mind and pay attention to it. And the president was tamious. Immediately, the last witness, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, finished and got out of the committee, then the announcement was done of Martin Amidu. It was so classic. I mean, and it took.
So you're saying that that would have meant the news media would have.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what was trending was a cash for seats. And my checks at the presidency showed that none of the presidential correspondents was told of any announcement that day.
Prior.
They were not told that there was going to be any major thing.
And you're saying that is unusual? You've been in the media.
Yes, that was unusual. I mean, I'm told that it was in the afternoon at about 2 or 3 p.m. that they started getting calls to come because there was some event happening. Yes, I'm saying that the president has the right.
Were they told specifically what event would have been?
No, the president has the right to do the announcement at any point in time.
Impromptu.
He could have done it. He has. It's his right. He could have decided to do it impromptu. Yes. But I'm saying that it was a communication or propaganda masterstroke to divert attention from this cash for seats thing. But you see, it will not work because the committee is still sitting. But let's go on to
what about the nomination itself?
Let's go to the substantive issue. I think that, Roland, there is a trend in this country that for a very long time I have fought. I haven't succeeded yet, but I'm never going to get tired. You hear people say Martin Amidu is impartial.
And that trend you are saying that is by the media?
What shows that he is impartial? Because he criticized the NDC? It's as if in this country you are objective only when you criticize the NDC and do so strongly. When the NDC is in government, it is bashed. And that those who bash the NDC when in government justify it with the fact that they hold our taxes and so they have to be bashed. And they are not seen to be partisan. They are seen to be objective and critical. But when the NPP is in power, if you do that to them, if you hold them to account and you bash them, then you are an NDC agent. It's been a trend for a very long time now. So even in media practice, you will find the Peace FMs and the Daily Guides and others who are constantly noted for not favoring the NDC, considered good media.
So today you didn't mention Joy. Yeah, I'm surprised.
Yeah, Joy comes up. Yeah.
Okay.
Considered good media. They're considered good media because they're critical of the NDC. But when it comes to the MPP, when you have the Radio Golds and others critical of the MPP, then they are NDC. You see, as for headlines, there's a difference between headlining something and just reporting on it. For example, when Professor Mills goes to cut a sword for the construction of University for Health and Allied Sciences in Ho, and after some months, no work is done there and the place grows as a bush. The media reports on it, not just reports on it, but makes it a lead story, sensationalize it, and ridicule it to a point where attention is paid that the place has been abandoned and is growing as weeds. And so even when University of Health and Allied Sciences is finally constructed and running, it is still on the minds of the people that there was a failure at first. You have the president goes to a Kumfi, Nana Akufo-Addo, the president, MPP president, to cut salt for the construction of 1D. Yes, the president. I said Nana Akufo-Addo, an MPP president. I was speaking of Professor Mills as an NDC president.
I get your point.
You have Nana Akufo-Addo, the president goes to a Kumfi to cut salt for the construction of a factory. Several months down the line, the place is bushy. Nothing is happening there. Yes, you will find the reports, but it will just pass. You have the NDC president, Mahama, who says, I'm going to build 200 schools. He comes into office, and even the committee to look at how the schools should be formed, ridiculed, called wise men, ridiculed. The committee finally comes out with a plan, the schools are constructed, and people have to go and do head count of their schools.
And you're saying this because...
And I'm saying President Nana Akufo-Addo comes to power, and he says, stands on a platform and declares free SHS. And even before anybody goes to the ground to find out if it is really being done and done well...
How has it got to do with...
I'm getting there. If it is being done and done well, you have them praising and saying that this is why we voted, this is why Ghanaians voted and all that. No ridiculing, no checking to see if it is really working well. Now, fast forward to Martin Amidu. And I'm saying that it has been a trend for a very long time. So when you are critical of the NDC, you are good media. When you are critical of, and that is what is happening with Martin Amidu. Martin Amidu, yes, was critical of the NDC, and that makes him impartial.
Well,
for God's sake,
if you criticize your own...
PC Apio-Ofori is more impartial to me than Martin Amidu. PC Apio-Ofori criticized his own and criticized the NDC. That is impartial.
You're saying Martin Amidu has not criticized...
In the last 12 or so months...
12 months.
Roland, are you saying that there is nothing that Martin Amidu has seen wrong about the administration of this country as far as corruption is concerned? Come on. Even CDD and other corruption, organizations who are hailing Martin Amidu have had cause to complain about certain things. But Martin Amidu is mute, has been quiet. And yet you say he's impartial because he was critical of the NDC? Look, there is no doubt about Martin Amidu's legal prowess. I mean...
So that makes him an impartial but fair appointee?
No.
To be?
No. He's competent as a lawyer. You can't take that away from him. He served as Attorney General, Deputy Attorney General, and as Attorney General. He did not win all his cases, but that doesn't make him incompetent. He is by that, if you like, competent to fill that position as a special prosecutor because he knows the law. But I am saying that he is not going there as an impartial person. If for anything at all, I think he is on a vindictive mission. I think he is bitter against some appointees of the NDC under President Mills and President Mahama, and he's made it clear. In fact, I am not the one saying it. He has said it so many times that he has an axe to grind with NDC appointees.
Well, thank you.
So he's not impartial. But yes, he's competent as a lawyer, but he's not impartial. He has an axe to grind, with some NDC people,
well, Judge,
and that has to be stated.
That bipartisanly, of course, with the exception of the views of Suhini and some few NDC, perhaps leading politicians, you say that he seemed to be getting a very good response from both sides of the political divide. That makes him a mark of somebody perhaps who is widely accepted.
Well, I think I did
state that.
I did state that,
yeah.
But I think just give me 2 minutes to just correct some wrong information that my brother has put out there. He made reference to the CDD report that was pointing out to this government being perceived as corrupt, and which he thought Martin Amidu hadn't responded to. And Roland, I believe that we debated this CDD report,
yes.
this CDD report a couple of months back last year, and it was clear that as at the last report that was reviewed, the ratings of any government as far as its commitment to fight corruption, there had been a significant increase, I think, from like a 15% to a 68%.
Maybe just to help him.
Can I land?
No, just to
Can
help you. I was not referring to a report.
Please.
No, I wasn't referring to a report.
When you were talking, I kept quiet.
No, I just wanted to help you. So if you want to respond to me, you respond to what I said. I referred to the CDD. I didn't refer to their report.
It's okay.
But if you want us to discuss the report, we can discuss it. But I'm saying if you want to correct what I said, correct exactly what I said. I made reference to the CDD and other agencies complaining about corruption. I did not talk about their report.
Peculiarly.
Thank you.
If CDD is complaining about corruption and CDD brings out a report on the perception of corruption in the country and looks at all the indices, and from your administration, where I can't remember what it was, let's say it was around 25%, if my memory serves me right, to His Excellency President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's administration, where it went to 68%. Okay? Then clearly, the summation of what CDD was putting out to Ghanaians was that Ghanaians feel that His Excellency the President is committed to fight against corruption. Okay? So if that's the feeling of Ghanaians, I don't see why you want to feel like you want to set your own question and say that this administration is corrupt. You were talking about, in the past, you've been talking about corruption as far as the Ghana Post GPS was concerned. At every opportunity that I've had, I've debated this issue, and there hasn't been any facts that have been put out there. Okay? Number two, you say that Citizen Vigilante has never criticized the NPP administration. And Roland, you would bear with me that indeed, even with the special prosecutor, the whole bill and the whole framework, he came out publicly, okay, and said a number of things that were not too complimentary.
Actually, about 16 to 20 points.
As far as what this current administration had done and which was passed by Parliament. So I think that we should be a bit more balanced in some of these comments. They ask you a question about Martin Amidu, then you start talking about one district, one factory. When we were in a position, we're having press conferences when we thought that there were issues that were not going too well. The president at that time, not your president, the president at that time, he referred to those press conferences as rapid press conferences, that any issue we go out and we do the press. Are you not doing similar? Okay? And I think that your attack on the media is most unfair. I believe that the media...
Is it an attack or his observation?
Oh, no.
Well, I think that is an attack, okay? Because when I feel like the NDC or some people within the NDC, whenever they feel uncomfortable, would throw in this thing that, oh, the media are not on
they feel they don't get fair coverage.
Roland, if you want fair coverage, you should have issues that are topical. You should have rebuttals that are relevant, okay? And you should have the attitude that you respect the media.
That's from a strategy point of view.
But everything, listen, everything starts from a strategy to an execution.
That's right.
You understand? So if you are not working your strategy well, okay, and the responses that you are getting are not coming through, then don't go blame the media. Okay, and Roland, in all honesty, I don't see for example, I don't see which of the press conferences that the NDC have put out there that the media haven't carried out. Which of them? If even the press conference that they did with the so-called expert on the Ghana Post.
Well, this Martin Amidu, for example, during the whole of the last 12 months, hasn't come out with a paper or a statement on his platforms, on let's say the concerns of the other side of the political divide, on
Did Martin Amidu
on the bond issue. Secondly, also on the Movempina petroleum.
Did Martin Amidu come out on SNET?
Well,
did they come out on SNET? Has President John Mahama come out on SNET? Has the chairman of the NDC come out on SNIT? I mean, let's not belittle these things. Okay, the man has been given the opportunity to serve Ghana. Okay, I gather that in principle, the NDC supports the nomination. I think that let us allow him to go through the vetting process. Let us now allow him to have the resources that he needs and let him start working. If he starts working and we all realize that this man is just going after people that he has an axe to, or he has an axe to grind with. If it is not through the legal process, then fair, we can come and start talking about it. But I think that for now, let us hold our horses and let us focus.
Okay, sorry, I have to give you only 2 minutes for your rebuttal because we have to move on to cash for seats. Scandal committee.
Quickly, I think that first of all, I did not refer to a CDD report. I refer to CDD and other agencies complaining about.
But mainly it's about the CDD, I believe.
Yes, but if we
they issue Afrobarometer reports.
Now, if you are talking about reports and how it has rated governments, I think that it is on record that the NDC's worst performance, as far as the fight against corruption is concerned, is the best performance of the NPP. As far as the Transparency International, which is more respected and reputable organization, is concerned, that record is there. The worst performance of an NDC administration has been the best performance of an NPP administration. We haven't seen that for Nana Akufo-Addo yet, His Excellency, but I'm sure that it cannot be better than what President Mahama achieved as far as the CPI is concerned. Then you talk about the nomination of Martin Amidu and first of all, the media. So I do not think that I think that my honorable colleague here and people who are listening may have gotten it wrong should get it straight. I am not criticizing, I'm not attacking the media. I am making an observation, and I'm saying that that trend where it seems to me that when you are critical of the NDC, you are good media, must change. When you are critical of the NDC, like Martin Amidu has been critical of the NDC, it does not make him impartial. You are impartial when you criticize both sides. You are not impartial when you criticize your own.
And you're saying by your observation, you're not saying.
And I'm saying that
he classifies the observation as an attack.
Yes, I've heard people
say
that.
He's also entitled to that opinion.
Yes, but I've heard people.
But let's move on and look at the cash for seats scandal. Without due respect, Suhini. It is.
It's not up to
without due respect, Suhini. Let's use the last 5 minutes and take a look at the committee that began sitting. Alan Chamanting appeared before the committee. He's a trade minister. And then also we had the Okujeto Ablakwa, and then also the minority chief whip Muntanka Bubarak, all of them appearing before. We're told that the foundation that organized the award is supposed to appear. Let's have your brief views on the subject and how so far it transpired and what you expect so far.
Well, thank you. I think that so far it's been good. I must commend the media for covering it live and bringing it to our homes. I was there on the day that Samuel Okujeto Ablakwa appeared, and I stood with him throughout to, give moral support and all. And I watched Alan Chamanting on TV, Honorable Alan Chamanting, and I don't think that he did himself a lot of good.
You think he struggled?
I think that he should have allowed his deputy to sit in because at some point even he had to say that some of the things were handled by the deputy and he may have better information. And so I think that he didn't do justice to himself at all. For example, when he refuted the suggestion that the money received was public money, and was asked to classify the money, he could not classify it because it couldn't have been donations. You issue government of Ghana receipt to people who are supposed to have been engaged in raising private funds. I mean, he couldn't, and I think that was a bit embarrassing for his stature. I think that we have to, first of all, establish what is being investigated. You have an organization that we are told was referred to the Minister of Trade from the presidency to organize an award ceremony for expatriates doing business in Ghana. So the Ministry of Trade, in partnership with this private organization, organizes this event. They have a memorandum of understanding, and the Ministry of Trade writes a letter to this private organization that it sent out to these expatriate businesses, requesting them to pay sums ranging from $15,000 to $100,000 so that they could be sat close to the president and also enjoy a private dinner with His Excellency the President of the Republic of Ghana. What is wrong with that, Roland? What is wrong is that our president in that case is used as a bait.
But we have the committee to establish that.
Yes, but I'm saying that just based on this report.
Are you re-putting together?
No, I'm saying that
are you putting together again the terms of reference for the committee?
No, the committee is looking at it. But I'm saying that some people have questioned why this should be looked at. So I'm trying to establish the basis.
Okay.
You know, the reason for us in the minority to call for this.
And the foundation is supposed to appear today.
The foundation is supposed to appear today. So we think that use of the president as a bait exposes the president to all manner of abuses.
Point made. Hello, sir.
Roland.
Yes, sir.
I think that for our democracy, it's good that we are going through this process. But I also like to remind you and to remind all Ghanaians that in the past, when the NDC was in power, two motions of similar nature that was brought to the attention of the then speaker. The speaker dismissed the motions and didn't even give Parliament the opportunity to debate it.
You're saying it's because the NDC was in power and they had the majority. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying that what is good for Kweku is good for Kwame.
You're not saying...
If today we have a Speaker of Parliament that has showed fairness, that a motion that was brought, which was incompetent in nature, and this was clearly proving on the floor that the motion was incompetent. However, the Speaker clearly stated that he would allow this incompetent motion to go, and he will set up the committee. Let me land. What is the issue? Expatriate Community Awards. Ministry of Trade and Industry collaborates with Millennium Excellence Foundation. For the sake of transparency, an MOU is signed. What is your responsibility as a ministry? What is your responsibility as the organizer? The responsibilities of the organizers included the raising of funds.
That's what they proposed to the ministry?
No, the MOU that was signed.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay?
All right.
They were responsible for the raising of funds. However, there was also supposed to be some seed money that should help in the celebration of the subsequent awards night. And so they agreed that 10% of the funds that are raised should be held by the ministry. In that respect, the ministry, in trying to have visibility of all the funds that were coming up, stated clearly that pay this through this account so we can monitor. And that was what was done. Indeed, if that hadn't happened, it would have been extremely difficult to justify all this, it's extremely difficult not to justify what is going on and not to support the calls of the minority in Parliament. There's evidence to show, and I watched part of the proceedings. He's talking about the ministry writing to the expatriate community and showing or stating the benefits package. We all watched it. Okay, we all watched it. The letter from the ministry talked about one attachment. Okay, that attachment was there clearly. It had nothing to do with benefits package. The letter that they have presented as evidence with the benefits package, the date of that letter, okay, was a much earlier date, okay, which has nothing to do with the letter that came from the ministry.
Well, the letter from the ministry, according to Okujeto Ablakwa, the former minister, said that one was attached to it too before sending.
Hold on.
Even though it's been dated earlier.
There were two.
Yeah, I do understand. I just don't have the time. So
hold on. Yes, so there were two attachments. You cannot, on a day, today being 15 January, it is not normal that you date a letter 15 January today, and you refer to an attachment, and there's an attachment to it. And then there's suddenly another attachment dated.
a different date.
No,
an earlier date.
It dated October something.
It's irrelevant because you don't have time. Because you don't have time.
No, we don't.
And I've noticed that you have given all the remaining time to him, which is not fair. But you see,
is always.
No, wait, please. When you are talking,
you see, we have seen letters which have come out of late with wrong dates. That's one. Two, if it is indeed it wasn't attached by the ministry,
I think that you should be fair here.
Then I think that it was misrepresented.
In order to be fair,
misrepresentation is an offense.
Because I don't have the time.
No,
it's an offense. It's an offense for anyone to have misrepresented the Minister of Trade, and so they should say so. That someone misrepresented them and take the organizers.
Well, the committee is sitting, so I'm sure we'll get a lot more from the committee. Nenyi Georganda is a Deputy Minister of Communications, but also he's a Member of Parliament for Utu Senior West. And thanks for joining me, Nenyi.
I think that next time you should be fair.
Okay. I'm sorry for not being fair
listen, I can be naughty like him.
Yeah. True,
okay.
true.
I can butt in, and you realize that when I talk and I keep quiet. When he's talking, I don't come in. So let's let the discussion flow.
All right, sir.
Thank you.
And then also we've had Alasan Suhini. Alasan Suhini is a Member of Parliament for Tamale North. Thanks for joining me, Alasan.
I think next time it should be fair.
We're taking away when we come back. We're talking about addictions, all forms of addiction. Look, I'm addicted to this discussion, man. We'll be right back.